Hi, I'm Spyder. I'm back, okay, for the 12th YouTube session, and it's going to be the last one for a while, unless something really comes up. Probably see me back in the spring. Okay, so I first want to make sure, just to, suggest again that you should watch the first, second, and third YouTube session first before you watch 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, the first YouTube session is my intro and how I come up with my CFL red zone rule, and the part 2 YouTube session is my presentation I made itself to the commissioner of the CFL and the CFL on January 31st of 2018, and then the part 3 is their decision and the conclusion. Okay, so it's very important you watch those 3 parts first. Okay, so first I want to go back to my YouTube session, part 10. Okay, I want to correct when I said NFL ratings in Canada were up 12%. I meant to say they were up 19% or 18%, sorry, in Canada. So, and also on the 11th YouTube session, and my full version of my Spyder, here comes Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule song. Again, it was a live take, and I'm sorry for hitting some sharps and some flats, but the best acoustic guitar players in the world do that all the time, and they're covered up by a full band, okay? So you don't hear them. But they admit that they make mistakes, many of them, every concert, okay? And at the end of my song, again, I said we'll be wearing CFL hats, okay? You'll see us at the 107th Grey Cup in Calgary. And again, I meant to say we'll be wearing Spyder CFL Red Zone Rule hats, okay, at the 107th Grey Cup in Calgary, okay, with our banners and our megaphone, and you'll hear us, okay, and you'll see us, okay? I also want to say that I have nothing against the Winnipeg, okay, Blue Bombers or Winnipeg fans or anything like that. When I was talking about the Dave Dickinson Mafia thing, because I mean I'm a real Guess Who fan, and I'm a CFL fan. I'm for all the teams, and I want to see the Winnipeg Blue Bombers win a Grey Cup more than anybody, and the Tiger Cats. It's been over 30 years for the Blue Bombers, and yes, I'd like to see them in the Grey Cup. And by the way, I was to the 2000s Guess Who reunion concert. I happened to be in Winnipeg, and I got drenched. I was in the 10th row, okay, in the thunder and lightning storm, okay. So I love Canada, and I love all the cities, and so I just wanted to say, I tend to agree with some of what went on with Dave Dickinson said anyway, because I mean, let's face it. I mean, the CFL would probably rather the Bombers in the Grey Cup than the Calgary Stampeders for the 3rd time. So I mean, it happens in sports. Even in the CFL, leading into the Grey Cup, the final 2 teams, they'd like to see 2 different. The teams they like to see in the CFL would like to see in the Grey Cup because of TV ratings. They think they'd do better in TV ratings and attendance, but it was completely sold out. Edmonton, you did a fantastic job, and I wish I would have been there. And I also want to say, when I said my 11th YouTube session on my song at the end, where I said I was a CFL fan when I was talking to you, okay, when I finished up my song, and I said that because when Mr. Ambrosi, okay, and the CFL sent me that email, okay, after he said that he would, assess and evaluate my CFL Red Zone Rule fairly and take the necessary time to do it, and also said he would use Jeff Kunt's pros and cons theory before they made the final decision. And then, he was on the road trip that was January 31st, 2018. Then he was basically on the road, on his Randy road trip for the whole month of February. Got back in the CFL office on the 26th, and then on the 27th, abruptly, I received this email, saying, "Oh, at this time, I don't think would be going with my CFL Red Zone Rule." What a joke! I mean, it was like my son said, it was a complete setup, and it was very unprofessional and very traitorous and unscrupulous of them, and like my son said, it was just to have me and my CFL Red Zone Rule go away. So it was really shabby and pretty shady. So that's why, you know, you know, that's why I feel the way I do, and that's why I want to get my CFL Red Zone rule out there, and that's why I'm on YouTube, because Mr. Ambrosi, I'm not going away, nor is my CFL Red Zone rule going away. And there was something else I was going to say. Yeah, it's not about a personality contest between me and Mr. Ambrosi here, you know? Like, you know, like it's not picking sides here. It's about, you know, it's about honesty, integrity, and it's about, you know, the real truth. And I'm giving you the real truth and the real facts and what happened. And it's about my CFL Red Zone rule, okay? And it's about the importance of it. And it's very important for the word to get out on it, and for me to get it out to every sports fan in Canada, every NFL only fan in Canada, all the younger generation fans in Canada, and all the CFL fans. Same within that 350 plus I surveyed in my survey. So that's, I wanted to say that, okay? It's very important I said that. Okay, and I just want to keep going down here. Yeah, I'll tell you another thing, the reason I said at the end of my song that I am still a CFL fan, that I was a CFL fan, because that whole Ambrosi thing with the CFL and the email turned me off so bad. My son actually sent me a ticket for the Edmonton, you know, 106th Grey Cup, and I wanted to go to that. And I really missed out, really. I really could have got my CFL Red Zone rule out there. There's 56,000 people there, and my son lives in Calgary, and he sent me a ticket for Christmas, and I was so turned off by Randy Ambrosi and the CFL and Ryan Jensen, what they did to me, and how they set me up, and did a real snow job on me, and I think probably laughed about it at CFL head office. But you know what, Ambrosi, you know, I have no respect for you. I lost all respect for you. I'm sorry. And I got so turned off, I wasn't going to give Ambrosi and the CFL any of my money. And I didn't go to the Edmonton Grey Cup. But I'm going to the Calgary Grey Cup, and I'm still a CFL fan. So that's how bad, that's how I felt, what he did to me, the CFL did to me, on me and my CFL Red Zone rule. And it's like Mr. Armby says, because they didn't come up with it themselves. Can you imagine? Yeah, they're so pompous, right? You know, just like the CFL Rules Committee. Like Mr. Johnson said, and Glenn Souther said, they don't know anything about the entertainment and you know, for selling entertainment and excitement in their CFL game. They don't know anything about it, okay? So they never give it the time of day, and the same reason, because they didn't come up with it themselves, okay? But, hey, we're alive and kicking, and we're going to keep this going, and I'm going to keep promoting it, and my main objective and goal is at a CFL game this year in 2019, any CFL game, and with the 107th Grey Cup and the Touchdown Atlantic, they have thousands of CFL fans chanting loud in the red zone, "We want Spyder CFL Red Zone rule." That's my ultimate goal that I want to achieve, and you can help me achieve that, okay? So I just want to go to the next part of this. Yeah, I want to talk about a headline that Ambrosi, I'm sure he had a part of it. And I wonder sometimes the CFL site is not the Canadian Players Association / Randy Ambrosi site, because they had talking about the headline about you know, like the players, the position of the strength of the Canadian old lineman, the lifeblood of CFL 3 agency. No wonder, because of the Canadian ratio that guarantees them and grossly overpays them, even though they have no business being on the CFL field. The guarantee of a Canadian starting ratio spot, that coaches are forced to start and play in the CFL. So do you think Ambrosi had anything to do with that headline? Yeah, the Canadian ratio is not going to change with Ambrosi there, and where he's basically embedded the Canadian Players Association and keeping, you know, the president, who's a guaranteed Canadian ratio old lineman himself at start because of the Canadian ratio, like Ambrosi did, who was part of the Canadian Players Association and fought the CFL in court, okay, on the CFL Canadian ratio. So we got a real conflict of interest here, and CFL's got big problems on their hands, big problems. It's very political, very, very, very political. And it's not going to change. It's not going to change until Ambrosi's replaced, and the Canadian Players Association is brought down by the owners and the American players. You know, you know, Canadian owners threaten to close your franchises or lock them out, because they got to go and Ambrosie's got to go. And Ambrosie also, because nothing's going to change, the Canadian starter ratio is not going to change, and CFL will never be able to play the best available players, okay, starting and playing at every position for an entire CFL game, like the NHL, like NBA, like Major League Baseball, okay, like the NFL, and like, yes, even MLS soccer can. So they're going nowheres until that happens. And so there's going to be some major changes made with the CFL, our 3-down game, or they're in serious trouble and our game's in jeopardy. And Ambrosie's over to Germany, right? And that's now it's a deal with them and France and now Austria, and it's going. We could be talking to Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. You know, you think Ambrosie would be looking out for his own ship back here, okay, in Canada, with okay, like in 3-Down Nation reported the Super Bowl viewership in Canada was up to 18%, while 107th Grey Cup in Edmonton was down 23% and down 1 million viewers. Yes, Ambrosie. Yeah, you're doing a real good job. Okay. So he's out there, you know, doing this abroad, and he wrote a Bolly's the old school handcuffing, dictating, guaranteed Canadian starter ratio. No, I guess he wrote. Okay, and the guaranteed Canadian roster ratios. It's obvious that's not selling CFL 3-down football, and clearly doesn't work in today's highly competitive professional sports world and leagues. And you know, you think he'd be doing something right, eliminating the handcuffing, dictating Canadian starter ratio to allow the best available players and the most talented American players to start and play in the CFL. Okay, so our 3-down game can be played at the highest level with the best available players. And did you see the Lions Football League? Yeah, you see that? So before I talk about that, so what an insult to my CFL Red Zone role too, as well. I wanted to say that a little earlier, but the AFL, right? Their marketing, their home field logo dress up, okay, compared to the CFL, and their broadcasting too. And by the way, they have a lot of good players, and they're about 7 or 8 out of 10 to the NFL. They're close, and they have a lot of former NFL players and NFL draft picks as well. So, you know, compared to the CFL, when you turn on the CFL, you see it's all bare. There's no logos in center field on the end zone, and they have actually, the AFL and the NFL, they have backdrops too, right? Along with their logos in the end zones. And it looks like so bare and so barren, and it's a joke. No wonder people turn it off. And then they're seeing all these 2nd down stops in the red zone, resulting in easy chip shot field goals. I'll get into that in a second, okay? So we're moving along here pretty good. So Ambrosie, you want to make our 3-down game a lot more popular and attract a lot more fans and viewers, then you have because the CFL looks pretty bleak. You think you would start tuning in and discovering what's really wrong with the increasingly unpopularity, with our CFL 3-down game, which I found in my findings in my 3.5-year survey I did, and where there are so many sports fans in Canada only watching the NFL, not the CFL in their own country, which, Mr. Ambrosie, if you were doing your job as a real CFL commissioner and not in coots with the Canadian players and their basic Canadian Players Association and the Canadian ratio in bed with it, you could have done the same survey yourself. You know? Instead, Ambrosie, you have your embarrassing, you know, like no vision CFL 2.0, you know, like in Mexico and in Europe. What a joke, really and truly. You know, the CFL is not going to ever grow their fan base. They're not ever going to grow their league unless they allow the best available players to play. And the only way to do that, they have to eliminate the Canadian starter ratio. It's not going to happen with Ambrosie there, okay? You know, in coots with the Canadian Players Association and keeping, you know, yeah, he probably want to increase the Canadian starter ratio and the roster ratio, seriously. Now I want to get into a comparison I'm going to do between the CFL and the NFL. Okay, I'm going to do a comparison. which is going to be pretty cool. Okay, so people know the differences, and then I'm going to tell you the advantages NFL 4-down football, the big advantages it has over 3-down football. Now let's look at the good things about our game, and then be a little, say some positive things here, okay? Okay, because in Brosy, you're not positive, you know, really, you're a negative. Now, I want to go over some interesting, some of the most important rules in our game, CFL 3-down game, okay? I want to educate you, okay? If you don't already know, on the good things about a 3-down game versus an NFL 4-down game, and the big advantage of 4-down, like I said, football over a 3-down game at the end. Okay, here's the good things about our game. Good things about the CFL 3-down game versus a 4-down game. CFL field size is 48% larger than the NFL field. Isn't that unbelievable? That's like an NHL rink compared to Olympic size ice. And it's more wide open. Of course, and the players need to be faster and more athletic in the CFL, especially at the quarterback position and the receiver position. And a lot faster at linebacker position too, and the defensive back as well. I mean, they're on an island, okay? And in the end zone, because the end zones are a lot bigger, because you know, in the NFL, it's basically like tiny. It's like an outdoor arena football field, okay? I call it, and they're wee end zones at only 10 yards, okay? In depth. The 20-second clock also in the CFL versus a 40-second clock in the NFL, which means a minimum of 25 more plays per game in the CFL, which is huge. And you need to be in a lot better shape, okay, as well, because of the size of the field and because of 25 more plays per game. A minimum of 25 more plays. The waggle in the CFL, where there is allowed motion of the receivers towards the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped. So the CFL, so in the CFL you have all that motion with you could have a receiver pack, like a 5 receiver pack, and an attack, okay? Unlike the NFL. Special teams, an exciting and huge part of the CFL 3-down football with a much bigger field that results in big, exciting punt returns for touchdowns in the CFL that virtually doesn't exist in the NFL with their sissy fair catch and their small field, wee field, nor does special teams in the NFL really exist, from what I said. Field goals in the CFL are a lot more difficult because of the size of the field and all the angles versus the NFL field, which is practically a given in the NFL because the field's so small, it doesn't have any angles, and if they can't get a field goal in any part of the field, they should go home. Seriously, the field goal kickers, it's a joke. The end zone, okay, in the NFL, you need a magnifying glass to see it. And also where the quarterbacks could actually virtually underhand the ball in the end zone for a touchdown, because the CFL end zone is 2.5 times, by the way, larger, and do the math, okay? Yard off the ball in the CFL versus the NFL, where both sides of the ball are practically, both sides of the ball in the NFL, they're practically on the line of scrimmage, which means the NFL is more like a wall where quarterbacks have a lot more time to actually take a nap, okay, because they virtually don't get touched. Where in the CFL, with a yard off the ball and a much bigger field, defensive, okay, linemen need to be, where they're a lot more athletic and they can move and they're much faster, where CFL quarterbacks actually get hit, and they do get hit, and they get hurt too often. Okay, which means also CFL quarterbacks need to be quicker and to be more mobile, okay, to escape this, that abuse. Okay, Warren Moon, who played in the CFL with the Eskimos, said CFL quarterbacks need to be a lot more athletic and need to have a much stronger arm and be more accurate and be able to throw a CFL ball, okay, which is a harder ball to throw, by the way, on a much bigger field across a CFL field, 65 yards to gain 5 yards in the CFL. It's true. And said the CFL quarterback position is a much more demanding, much more difficult position to grasp than the NFL quarterback position. And that's coming from Warren Moon, okay? And he's 100% right. The running backs in the CFL also need to be much faster and in better shape in the CFL because of the size of the field as well than the NFL. Because I said the size of the field and all the angles and the 20-second clock, and also the linebackers and the receivers and the defensive backs also got to be a lot faster and a lot quicker, okay, off the line of scrimmage, okay, when the ball snapped. In the last 3 minute, okay, the warning in the CFL, okay, the CFL game clock stops whenever the ball is dead, which allows for more time and more plays for a CFL team to make an exciting comeback in the CFL game. Unlike the NFL, where there is a 2-minute warning clock, okay? In the CFL, there are 12 players on the CFL field, and in the NFL, only 11. Okay, and in the CFL, the overtime format is much better because both teams get a chance offensively with the ball. And these are some of the better rules, and there are more. And why our 3-down game is a more exciting game than the NFL. But, okay, the real killer is the advantage is 4-down football have over 3-down football. They get more first downs, okay, and more touchdowns in the end zone. And there's no 2 and outs in the NFL, and there's too many in the CFL. And even worse, magnified in the red zone on 2nd down stops, okay, that happen too often in the CFL, that are undesirable, and they're a real turnoff and big killer of a 3-down game that results in another big killer, big turnoff our 3-down game, and that's non-eventful, distasteful, predictable, easy chop field goals, okay? That no CFL fan wants to see, or football fan wants to see, especially in the 3-down game. That my CFL red zone rule will completely eliminate. That's how powerful my CFL red zone rule is. Okay? So the CFL needs a combo. It needs Spyder CFL red zone rule and to eliminate the Canadian starter ratio and dramatically reduce the Canadian guaranteed roster ratio, and then they'll have a real product to sell. Okay? So we're going to move along here. Okay, I want to highlight some things from my last sessions. Okay, the NFL marketing. Okay, how much better it is in the CFL. How brutal the marketing and branding is in the CFL, and the field dress up, home field dress up in the CFL doesn't even exist. Okay, all right. So I just want to highlight quickly. Okay. My press conference, okay, and the press conference in Halifax, I don't want to really get into that. Randy Ambrosi couldn't even look me straight in the eye. I was going to mention that. Then highlights of my session, Rick Howell's show, remember, okay?
And you're going to hear all about it because I'm going to do a YouTube 3-part session on it starting very soon. I'm meeting with Steve Armich very soon on this. He's behind it 100%. And the rule is so catchy, and what it does is unbelievable. Spyder's proposed to see a parental rule. They even got halfway. You see the YouTube set. Well, you let us know what.
Remember that? That was pretty cool, okay? And, you know, the Sidney Crosby story at the Grey Cup in Calgary, the 13th Man Grey Cup, okay, with the Rider fans, with one of my son's autographed because he was in the book, and he played with Sidney Crosby, and he was in a big article in the Daily News when they won the Pee Wee AAA Atlantic Championship. That was pretty cool, okay? And my CFL top 10 features and benefits, okay, that session was really cool. And also, you know, the main presentation I made itself with Jared, okay, that I made to the CFL and the commission, that was really cool, okay. And I talked, you know, did the Canadian ratio thing that, you know, nobody really knew anything about the problematic issues with the Canadian ratio and why it's not selling CFL 3-down football. Okay, that was very important. And also, the surprise in my 9th session with my Spyder's song, okay, and then the longer version on part 11, okay, and the announcement in my Facebook, by the way, it'll be up pretty soon. And I just want to talk a little bit now, see if I missed anything here. Oh yeah, the session about the CFL really dropped the ball session, that was quite amazing. And oh, by the way, on my, yeah, the part 2 session when Jared and I made the formal presentation actually that was made to the CFL on the 18% guarantee. That was amazing, part 2. Okay, am I missing anything? I'm just going over some of the highlights. Okay, I just want to talk a little bit about the pompous media too. Okay, I remember when I first had my Inside the Red Zone rule, I approached someone in the media to do an article on it. He says, "Do you know how much I know about CFL 3-down football, it's unbelievable. They're so pompous. They wouldn't even give it the time of day, and there's so many of them. Okay, and in the sports media that wouldn't give it the time of day. Just like the coaches and GMs, I'm sorry, on the CFL Rules Committee, like Mr. Johnson said, because they didn't come up with it, and that's pretty pompous. Okay, because it addresses the entertainment value of a CFL 3-down game. It makes my CFL Red Zone rule makes our CFL 3-down game a lot more exciting and a lot more entertaining brand of CFL 3-down football and to watch. And it's a rule that actually addresses that, okay, and our CFL 3-down game itself, and not more ugly challenge flags that almost destroyed our CFL 3-down game. So, by the way, Mr. Van Stone and Mr. Nine, they're not like that. Mr. Armitage, they're amazing. They're behind my CFL Red Zone rule, so I really want to thank them all for that. And I just need to find one to do. I want to do an article and use a headline. So I think it's a very striking headline. CFL really drops the ball, and I'll keep you tuned on that. Okay, I got to get moving here. I wanted to talk a little bit about. Before I close out on the Atlantic Schooner situation, Halifax, they're going to downsize their stadium to a Mickey Mouse little stadium. Mayor Savage, you should be ashamed of yourself. You'll never be able to stage a Grey Cup like you said you wanted to with that Mickey Mouse little stadium. Come on, benches and then one upper deck and like only 20,000 seats between the goal lines. What a joke! You should be ashamed of yourself. The councilors down there, they're pompous, they're egotistical, and they're a bunch of boneheads. And Mayor Savage, I hate to say it, you're not much better. So I just want to say thanks again for watching and watching all my YouTube sessions. And I'm a little pressed for time. And so I don't know what's going to happen with the Atlantic Schooners. I think they should get out of town and go to Quebec City, but where they would endorse it and welcome them with open arms. And they'd build a real CFL model stadium. Not a Mickey Mouse thing that the mayor wants to build here. What a joke. Be an embarrassment. The worst CFL stadium in CFL. So anyway,